everyone, it's Chris here with Red Wagon Crafts, and in today's video we're going to be making some 4th of July t-shirts. I'm really excited about making these t-shirts. I found the designs online and just knew I had to make them. So we're going to be doing several different ones today. I do have a set of twins which are only 9 months old, and then I have an older daughter who is 11. So for my twins we're going to make their t-shirts on onesies, and for my daughter we'll make hers on a regular t-shirt. So we're going to have a different variety there for everyone. I hope that you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe below. And don't forget, you can also check us out on our website at rwcraft.com. You'll find other DIY projects as well as recipes, restorations, reviews, just tons more. So sit back. I really hope you enjoy this video, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to begin with making the onesies first. So I went to Walmart this weekend and I had found in their section with their t-shirts, paints, tie-dyes, things like that, these little kid onesies. They're completely white. They were $2.50. So I got 2 of those. I have a cardboard box here that I'm going to use to slide inside of the shirt. That way then I can stamp my stars on it with my paint, and I don't have to worry about it soaking through to the other side. Now this is the stars that I made. Now I made these out of sponges. I had just I'll show you an example. I had made this, taken this sponge, and originally I had found a star online, printed it out right here, and on paper. I put it on a piece of white cardboard. That way then I was able to trace it onto my sponge a little bit better. So you'll put it right there onto your sponge. I traced it with a Sharpie, and then I used my scissors to cut out the star from the sponge, and these are what I had gotten. There's the first one, and there's the second. The reason I have 2 obviously is because I want to do red stars and blue stars. It's a white onesie, so red, white, and blue. I'm going to use this paint palette is what I believe they call it, and I will use some acrylic paint. I have a red acrylic paint and a blue acrylic paint. So I am going to, instead of dipping my sponge into them, I am going to try this first. I don't know if it'll work. Might end up choosing just to dip it in, but I'm going to use this, it's like a foam brush that they paint with, and I'm going to apply the paint onto the sponge. That way then I don't get it everywhere else. And then we'll go ahead and just stamp it right onto our t-shirts. So, and of course, I have a little jar of water. You can see I already did a couple just to see how it would turn out. And I have I can clean off my sponges with that. And of course, paper towels. So, let's go ahead. I'm going to clean up everything here, and I will be right back. We will start with our first onesie. Okay, so let's begin by putting our cardboard box into our onesie. So I have that in there just like so. That way then I don't have to worry about it bleeding through the t-shirt. I'm going to take my red paint, pour some on a palette, take my blue paint, pour that on a palette, now I am going to use these. I have some foam paintbrushes, and I'm going to use that to apply onto my sponge. I would go ahead and dip this. My biggest fear is I don't want to get the paint all on the sides, so then whenever I go to put it down and stamp it, that now I've made a huge mess and it doesn't really look like a star on the t-shirt. So I'm going to try this first. If I find that it doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and dip it. Okay, so there's our first one ready to go. I'll show you that. I went ahead and painted it red, and we will just begin by applying it. Now I'm going to put it onto my t-shirt, and I'm going to apply some light pressure to make sure all over the back of the star, to make sure that the paint is coming on to the entire t-shirt. And we'll pull it right out. And voila. As you can see, there's my first star. Okay, so we've applied the stars all the way around the front of the onesie. I'm not going to do any more, I don't believe, but this is what it all came out to be. I think it really turned out pretty nice. I like it a lot. I'm excited to see it completely dry in all my two little ones. So we will go ahead and set this to the side. We're going to allow this to dry. We'll come back, check on it, and move on to our next t-shirt. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. For my 11-year-old daughter's t-shirt, we're going to do something slightly different. Whereas I did the stars on the twins onesies, for her, I'm going to do an American flag. And for the American flag, I had to get a few different items that we needed to make the project. So first, I did get her a white t-shirt. And I have a cardboard cutout of a box here. I'm going to just slide this right inside of the t-shirt. We'll pull it around nice and tight. That way then we have a nice smooth surface that we're working with. Now on the paint, I am going to use spray paint. I am not going to use the acrylic paint this time. So I have a red paint. I have this is a navy blue, but I was looking for a lighter blue, couldn't find it, so we're going to do with what we got. We'll just have to apply a lighter coat of the blue to not make it so dark. And then for the white stars, I'm going to use this water-based acrylic paint, but it says that once dry, it is water resistant. So hopefully that's going to be the case, and I do have a stamp. Now, the cool thing is that I had seen someone do, and if you can find the star stickers, that would probably work the best. Then it's just one less step to have to do. But I had seen someone make this project, and they had taken star stickers and just put them over where they were going to spray paint their blue, and then once the spray paint was dry, they just pulled up the stickers and voila, it was done. And I was like, oh, that would have been so nice, but I couldn't find any stickers of stars that I liked. They were just the little itty bitty ones. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and just use the acrylic paint and the stamper. I am again going to use the paint palette. I'll lay out my white paint on that, and for the t-shirt, we're going to be able to make the flag, I'm going to apply some painter's tape. You could probably use other different types of tape. It's just I have this here at my house, and I am going to use this to section off the blue, and we'll put we'll put cardboard on the rest of the t-shirt. We'll spray paint the blue. Then whenever that's dry, we'll take everything off, and we will cover that up with cardboard, and then use the painter's tape to make my rose for the red and go from there. And then we can pull up that painter's tape, and then we'll have our white already there. Now at the bottom of my t-shirt, once it's all dry, I'm going to cut these little strips, probably about 1/4 of an inch. And on that material, I'm going to use these pony beads that I had purchased for a different project if you've seen it, and we will go ahead and apply these pony beads to the bottom. Gives a little bit of flair there for her. I have red, white, and blue pony beads. So I've sorted them out and put them into jars there, so it makes it a little bit easier. And that'll just make a little bit more of a flair to a poppy appearance to her t-shirt. We're going to cut off the arms of the t-shirt as well, because it is summer, it's hot as heck outside, so we're going to cut off the arms. And then for the neck, we're going to kind of come down a little bit more on it to kind of loosen it up, give it a little bit more of a girly appearance. So not very many materials, but just slightly different stuff that we're going to do. It's a little bit harder of a technique, I think, than what it was for the baby's onesies. But I'm really excited to tackle this with you guys today. So let's go ahead and move all this stuff out of the way, and we will start with our first step. The first step, what I did was I cut off the sleeves as well as widened the neckline of the t-shirt. So I will go ahead and show you what it turned out like. I think it turned out great. I was a little concerned. I didn't want to ruin it, where I had to go out and get another one, but turns out it worked out all great. So here's the t-shirt. I widened the neckline, and I went ahead and cut the sleeves off. Now I would suggest that when you're going to widen the neckline, that you start by taking a pen and just kind of doing a little dotted line of where you want to cut at, because you don't want to get to start cutting and then be like, I don't want it to look like that. So I used a pen, and I just went ahead and dotted kind of like just little dash lines and where I wanted to cut the neckline at. And then for the sides, of course, I didn't have to do that, but you could always. I just went ahead and cut the sleeves off. So it turned out great. I did not cut the bottom yet, because I want to put the stripes on the flag first on the t-shirt before I cut the bottom. And then once we get to that part, I'll show you what I'm going to do. But I'm going to take this cardboard, and I'm going to slide it into the t-shirt. We're going to start with the blue portion of the flag. I'm going to make sure that my seam to the top of my shirt is at the very top. And I will try to make sure that I have it as much as possible, because I'm only painting the front part of the t-shirt. The back will be white like it was with my baby's onesies. And then I'm going to use hair ties, rubber bands, whatnot, to make it tight in the back. So I will take a hair tie, wrap it around the t-shirt. That way then it's nice and tight like this. I don't know if you can see that very well with it being white on white, but I just wanted to get it as tight as possible, so when I'm painting it, spray painting it, it won't turn out funny looking. Okay, so obviously I am not going to want to do the entire front part of the shirt with the blue. So we're going to tape off, using our painter's tape, what section that we want to have blue. And I will show you what we're going to do after that then. Okay, so we're going to only have this portion of it blue. The rest then we'll work on with our stripes. So for me to make sure that I don't get any overspray over here, because again, you have white stripes and you really don't want to have any type of blue speck in the white stripes. So to prevent any overspray, I am going to use this construction paper that I have. It's actually not construction paper, it's a really thick paper, cardstock kind of paper. I'm going to use this, and we will go like this, and I am going to just tape it up here. and cover up the white part of my shirt that I am not wanting to have painted. I covered up the remaining part of the t-shirt that was on the board that I do not want to have painted, have any overspray going onto it. So I covered it up down here, I covered it up on the side, and I left just the part open that I want to spray paint blue. So we're going to begin by spray painting that. Once that dries, we will remove all of this cardstock here that we applied and the tape, and we will go ahead and do our stripes. So let's first start by, I'm going to take this out, spray paint it, and I will be right back to you guys, and we will take a look to see what it looks like. Our spray paint dried on our t-shirt, and I have to say it turned out great. I didn't actually expect it to look this cool. So this is what we're looking at here. There's our blue section that we'll put our stars in. And now what we're going to do is we are going to, it looks like we're going to have to work in two different sections. We'll put the cardboard back into the shirt, and we're going to tape off the stripes. And wherever we put the tape at, of course, will be the white stripe, and then we'll go outside, we'll spray paint, let it dry, come back in, and we will do the bottom section. So let's start with the top so we can work our way down. I'm really excited to see how this all turns out. Again, I think this turned out amazing. Here, one more time, take a look at that. Nice straight lines. I even got it to the very top, just where I wanted it to be. So I think she's going to be really excited about this. So let's begin with putting our cardboard back into our shirt. We're going to tie it off, and we'll get that taped up. Alright, so I went ahead and taped everything off where I want my white stripes to be. And before we go out and start to spray paint, again, we're going to cover this section over here up with a little bit of the cardboard. Anything we don't want to be painted red, we're going to cover up. Okay, so I went ahead and taped down my cardboard or my cardstock, whatever you choose to use, over top the blue section, just so I don't have any overspray on that. We've taped off of our stripes, so we'll go upstairs and start the first set of the red. And we're going to have to come back and do more, but this is what it turned out like. So I will be right back. Let me go ahead and spray paint. We'll let it dry, and we'll take a look at it to see what it came out like. Hello, everyone. Our t-shirt is completely dry. I did have to give it a full 24 hours before I could move on to this next step, because I came back after a couple of hours and it was a little sticky to the touch. So make sure that it's completely dry. You don't want to touch it and then get the red paint on yourself and then it kind of bleed over onto white. So here's our completed project for the paint. I think it turned out great. It really, really looks nice and bright. So before we put our stars up here on the blue part, we are going to, at the bottom of the front of our t-shirt, cut strips and apply our beads. Once we do the beads, then we'll move on to putting the stars on. So I'm really happy with how it came out. I think she's going to like it. So let's go ahead and get that bottom part of our t-shirt cut. Okay, so we are going to only cut the front part of the t-shirt at the bottom. We're not going to apply beads in the back, but just in the bottom to give it just a little bit of flair there. So what I'm going to do is, where the hem is, it's going to be really difficult for me to push that through the beads. So I am going to cut up just a little bit above the hem. And then we will cut straight across and only cut off that bottom hem. And this is what that will look like at the bottom. So we won't need this part. We'll go ahead and discard that. Now what I'm going to do, cut this tag off. I wouldn't normally measure it, but because I want to tell you guys how much of a width between them I'm going to make them, I'm going to measure . I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch for each strip. The reason why is that my beads are a little thin. I want to make sure that I don't have a problem getting them through. You might be able to do the half, but if you, and we can always try the half. If the half doesn't work, then we'll have to go down to 1/4. So why don't we do that? And we'll do the half an inch on each of the strips. And I would say about 1/2 inch and wide, and this will be preference. I'm going to go to 1.5 inches up because I'm going to push my beads up and I'm going to tie them at the end. If that's too much for you and you don't like that look, and I guess that also would depend upon how short your shirt is. If it's a longer shirt, which this will be longer for her, 1.5 inches would be fine. But that's, again, towards your preference. So I'm going to do, like I said, I'd say about 1/2 inch and then 1.5 inches up. Now before we go any farther, I'm going to stop and let's make sure that I can get my beads, or my material through the beads. Now I will tell you this, I wondered before I even started this if I was going to have problems getting the material through the beads. So if I have problems, I'm going to show you what I am going to use. I had an old metal hanger upstairs. I cut off with my wire cutters, if you can see that, just the hook part and straightened it out. I'm going to use this to push my material through the beads if I need to. You could probably use just about anything. I didn't want something sharp because obviously it'll go right through the material, and I thought, I have an old hanger, let's just give that a shot. We might not need to do that, but just in case, we have this as a backup. So I am actually going to do this in order. This, again, is all preference to whatever you are, what you think will look nice and however you want to do it. So, I'm going to show you what it looks like before I finish the rest. There you go. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to go across. I think 1.5 inches works great, but I would say you may have to go up a little bit more, maybe 2 inches or whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the rest of these all on here, and we'll come back and take a look at it. Our beads are now all along the front part of the bottom of our t-shirt. It turned out really great. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Isn't that just so adorable? I did, again, the width of the strips, I did a 1/2 inch, and they're about 2 to 2.5 inches long. I put my beads on. I used red, white, and blue, just the 3 beads on each of the strips. You could use more if you wanted to, but then that gave me enough room for me to tie the bottom of the strip to secure the bead on there and it won't fall off. So I think it looked really cute. I'm only doing it in the front of the shirt. I'm going to leave the back a little bit longer. That just gives it a little bit more flair. So now we are ready to apply our stars, let me show you, to the blue part of our t-shirt. So I have, to do that, this stamp here, and I have some white acrylic paint. Now, even though it is water-based paint, it says here that it is water resistant once completely dry. So we're going to use this. I have a little sponge here that, like a painting sponge, that I'm going to use to dip into the white paint, put it on here, and then we will apply it to our shirt. The only reason why I'm going to do that is I had found in the past, whenever I'm using things like this, if I just dip it right in, then I have too much on there. It'll sometimes not put the print on whatever I'm stamping it on very well, and I don't want an excessive amount of paint on there. For one, it'll take so long to dry, and then it'll get clumpy. So let's go ahead and put our stars on our t-shirt. I'm not going to put a piece of cardboard underneath this because we've already painted it, so we have that. This is just going to be a small amount of white paint. So, take my paintbrush. Two of them, and then I'll show you guys. So again, I'm going to paint my stamp. And I'm going to show you before I move on. And I'm just going to put, you know, fill up the blue area with the white stars, and then we're going to let it dry. So we got our stars all on. I just did them in random places, tried to make as many as possible, and this is what it turned out to look like. I think that looks awesome. I think it looks really cool. So we are going to allow this to dry, and then we will go ahead and come back and take a look at it, and I'll show you the onesies that I made for my twins. They are so cute looking as well. I'm really excited to see the turnout of this as well as show you guys that. So I will be right back. Our t-shirts and onesies are finally dry, and they turned out super great. Here's our finished project. This is my daughter's tank top, so you have your stars, your stripes, and at the very bottom you have those beads, just to give it a little bit more flair. It is so adorable. She's gonna love it. For my twins, I made the same onesies for them. Of course, they're twins. So I have my stars that we used are sponge cutouts of the stars. They are very cute. That's one of them, and here's the other. I am so happy with these. Just thrilled to try them on them and just get a kind of a cute little picture going on. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for joining us. Please like and subscribe below, and don't forget to visit us on our website at rwcraft.com. There you're going to find other DIY projects, as well as recipes, restorations, reviews, so much more. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. So thanks again for joining us. I had a great time today, and we hope to see you again soon.